Real news. Honest and fun political talk weekly on the line 90.7 FM. Welcome back, everyone, to the final Real News Uncensored for the summer of 2019 here. We'll be back on the line 90.7 FM next week, hopefully.
Unless we get banned again.
What was that?
Unless we get banned again.
Yeah, I know. Have to not make any more sound effects, and we'll be fine. But I scheduled the show, so we should be going on same time, 7 p.m. Saturdays, line 90.7 FM. You can tune to Real News. You can tune in on line 90.7 FM or go to the line.fm to tune in. And always subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all these things in case anything changes or we get banned again, which both are possible, especially considering our past behavior. So, again, subscribe, tune in, and you won't want to miss it because it's a lot of fun and we'll have a lot of cool guests coming on. So, this week we have a few news topics that are definitely very interesting. Like, it's a weird news week. We have like some Russian spy novel like shit with a CEO. Greenland is up for sale. Well, it's not, but Trump wants to buy it. There's just a bunch of cool, crazy stuff going on. So we're gonna start with the Overstock CEO. He did a couple interviews on TV after he resigned from the company over some comments where he was talking about the deep state. And it turns out, I was watching this live just by accident, that he was telling on Fox News that he was in a romantic relationship with a Russian spy while he was in the company. And she wanted to get to the White House. She even met up with Don Jr., I think. And the FBI themselves told him to keep pursuing this relationship. And there was a whole bunch of ties to these deep state characters. Peter Strzok, who was involved with the FISA courts and the wiretapping on Trump. It's so crazy. It's insane, this story. I don't know why nobody's talking about it. I don't know why it's getting more coverage than, it should get a lot more coverage, but it's getting like nothing. He even went on CNN, which surprised me that they let him on. But it's very interesting, and I would definitely say this is something that's probably going to blow up bigger. It's, of all these sort of things related to the corruption of the Obama administration in relation to Trump, I think this one has a lot more juice to come out.
Yeah, dude, those Russians, man. You see them all the time. Like, do you remember that story about like the NRA girl, a Russian agent?
Yeah, that's kind of like what this was. Like, she was, Russian agent sleeping with people to get, into powerful positions with powerful people and powerful situations. She was sleeping her way around.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing with the NRA one, I don't really understand what, like, if they actually found evidence that she was a Russian agent, or is it just that she was from Russia they were flipping out?
I don't know, actually. I forget.
I know someone from Russia, and I mean that person seems a lot more likely to be a Russian agent than this NRA girl.
I think what you described, this person's a Bond villain.
Yeah, that would be a pretty fair assessment.
Oh.
Yeah,
Dude, there's some stuff that goes on in this world that, like, you'll see stuff on the news and you're just like, this isn't half of it. This ain't nothing.
yeah.
They actually saw what really happened, especially in the fucking Trump campaign.
Yeah, a small college town.
Yeah, like no one, like I'm surprised no one looked into that one. But I mean, I don't think he's a Russian agent. I think people just had like Russia phobia, to be honest with you. I think that promotes a lot of this stuff because, like, after Trump won, it was like, oh, well, it was the Russians that did this, and the Russians, they're having this Cold War mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of it. Now, I'm sure Russia does have agents out there and in here, and I'm sure that we have agents in Russia and China and all those. But I feel that, like, we're almost in this like Cold War version too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're upset that some Russian trolls helped Trump, even though probably more of them actually helped Clinton. They don't care about that. They just wanted to generate clicks. They're poor people. Like in Russia, you don't make a lot of money. People are dirt poor over there. Like they don't. Like it is a very poor nation. It's not like China. I mean, China's poor too, but like there's some mega rich people out there. But like Russia, it's I guess they have a few mega rich people, but by and large, it's just poor guys, driving cars that they're shit like Yugos and stuff, and like putting vodka into the gas tank to go and make it run a little bit longer, stuff like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
I don't like I do believe as a country we're, and especially coming from the left, we're seriously Russophobic. There's like, it's not like we look at Russia and the immediately we think, oh, Soviet Union, da 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 da, and it's like, and I mean, okay, so with the CEO, the Russian spy thing, there were a couple of Russian spies, I think, over the last couple of years that kind of came out. They were pretty cute too. I got to be honest. Like, like, look, hey, that's a great way. That's a great way to get some information. Hey, just like,
It's a very pleasant way.
I wonder if we do that anymore. If they just try to send like transgender like fat activists as nice to try like get on people, and they just get something like the gulag or something.
They don't know. Look, they don't know how to be sexy though. It's like, yeah, they go over, to what if they're gonna go over to Saudi Arabia or some shit? Like, yeah, I'm here to seduce you. I'm here to seduce you. Take off your pants, god damn it! Like, oh my god.
You ever hear about that one like Chinese spy that was actually a dude that like seduced some guy? I think it was like either British or American, and he thought he was the guy was a woman.
What?
I think they made a play about it. It was like Madame Butterfly or something. Like, it was bizarre. Like, and the dude thought that she had a kid, and he didn't realize he was fucking a dude.
Oh god! Wait, how do you not know?
I don't know. And then he ended up getting caught for like giving information to a Chinese spy.
She's giving him a blowjob. Your dick tastes like butthole.
Yeah, that's a red flag right there. Didn't know.
No, it wasn't Madame Butterfly. It was another. I think it was another story. Something. I think they did make a play about this one though. Like not they whatever this thing was. They made a play about it or something. So it was fucking bizarre, and it was like he was very surprised when he was banging a dude, and he found out like years later.
Oh god, what's worse, to find out like a few days later, like in the moment, or years later?
I'm trying to look this up. I keep getting like gay porn advertisements.
I bet it was based on a porno, even if it was real life events. It's probably based off of one, or they made porn of it.
I wonder how how it got from like it's weird because like when I used to work in mental health, we'd have a couple of patients that their boyfriends left, these chicks, their boyfriends left them for another man, right? And like, and they were like borderline suicidal, right? Because it was like the ultimate, it was considered the ultimate to them. It was considered the ultimate insult. Like, I was so bad that he didn't even have the decency to cheat on me with another woman. He went to another man. And like now, I think now it's seen like if you act that way, you're probably homophobic. So like,
what would be?
Oh no, it was called. No, I looked this up again. It was called M Butterfly. I don't know if it's the same thing. It's based on true events. See Bernard Boursicotte and Shi Pei Pu. It was about a French diplomat assigned to Beijing who became infatuated with a opera performer, and the opera performer was actually a spy, and the dude didn't realize it was a dude. He was like for years, and he ended up like I think getting sent to like they had a whole incident over that. he got like arrested or something, and they got he had some problems after. I think what was it? I don't know if he killed himself or something after that, but he was not particularly happy about it.
God. Yeah, that's just like, it's like what you were saying earlier about like when you only know half the story, it's crazy, and that's crazy enough. Imagine what the other half is. I mean, that's even the same with the Overstock CEO. It's like, yeah, this is just what he's telling you, and this is crazy. Imagine what he doesn't know. Imagine what everybody else doesn't know, what we don't know, and all that. New level of craziness. It's a weird world out there. Like the as we called him, the Bond villain. We'll call him the Russian Bond villain that we knew. Imagine if people only like imagine the people that don't even know him, and what we know is like crazy enough. And imagine what we don't know. It's an interesting, I don't know if I'd say paradox, but it's like one of those things that just screws with your mind the more you think about it.
Yeah, like I wonder how many spies you've met going to Penn State. There's
Yeah,
tons of national students there. I bet there's a shit ton of spies over there, like especially Chinese. They're the ones we should really be worrying about. Like they hacked Penn State years ago.
yeah, they actually did.
They hack Penn State. They hack other universities all the time. Steal IP, ship it back to China. That's a pretty common occurrence. And they recruit people over here. And on top of that, you get a lot of students. So they're probably the type of people who will go and like pay to get their degrees. Like they
Mm-hmm.
probably just pay to get their degrees and they go to parties and stuff and start finagling with people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean, I think I'd be more worried about definitely the Chinese and the Russians, considering, especially at college, there's so many Chinese, especially compared to Russians. But their government is a totalitarian government. Yeah, Russia doesn't exactly have a democracy like they say they do, but China is like, nah, we're a totalitarian government. We're in it to win it. We don't have any rules. We're going all in. And, some of these, Chinese students, for example, they're, you know, like, how do I put? Like, they don't necessarily have a lot of American friends. They kind of stay in their own little community of themselves, which is understandable because they don't, speak the language very well and they want to be with their own people. It's very understandable. But at the same time, it's like we're like in two different worlds there on that campus, just two different worlds.
Yeah, like they don't want to mention it, but like the Chinese students are some of the most racist I think I ever met.
Really?
Like, I remember I was talking to this one guy. It was a Chinese exchange student. He was telling me that like they don't even like other Asians. Like they all if they're with a Chinese person, they'll make fun of the Koreans, and if the Koreans are with the Chinese, they'll make fun of the Japanese. But
Mm,
all of them make fun of the Indians because they really don't like them for some reason, and then they all really don't like Africans.
yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
Like like the one guy told me that he thought as like a bad ghost or something,
What was
like
that?
bad spirit. Like the one Chinese guy told me that like there's a traditional belief. I don't know how true this is that like black people were like reincarnated like badly or something. That's why
What?
like yeah, there's some racist motherfuckers out there. And I
Mm,
don't they the Chinese. They're an interesting group because most people don't really think of them as being outwardly racist. But look at the what was that whole big riot back in like the 80s
what's
that
Tiananmen
there's
Square?
yeah, like that whole thing started over a race conflict.
Hmm.
Like I don't know if you know the history of that, but
No,
I
give me the
remember
red
reading
pill.
I remember reading this. So basically, what happened was there were like China, like this was back during communist Chinese time, and they had a bunch of like exchange students coming from like Africa. They're going to teach them how to be good communist boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
And when there was one guy from Africa, and he had like he was accused of having like multiple girlfriends, and like it was like the Chad African versus like the virgin Chinese students, and they started getting pissed off. They kept banging all the chicks, so they started like having this like racial conflict, and then it started as this like racial conflict, then it started spreading into this like democracy movement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that story. Yeah, that's what I heard about that. I
Well,
don't know.
look at even the Hong Kong protests now. I mean, that's an interesting scenario where you remember the British used to have Hong Kong, now they don't, and the Chinese they started this like extraditing bill, where I think they would jail Hong Kong people in China, out of Hong Kong, and they were worried about that because they thought they'd never see these people again. So they've been protesting, and for all the tariffs going on right now, like Trump threatening to raise them now to 30%, and he was telling people not to ship fentanyl. Um, I mean, we don't realize how tied we are to this country and how many of these events like Tiananmen Square had some effect on us, but like these Hong Kong protests could have huge effects on us. The fentanyl. I mean, look at the fentanyl. China said they would stop sending fentanyl, stop killing Americans. I think 100,000 die every year from fentanyl. They didn't do that. They did nothing, and now it's kind of becoming their own bargaining chip of, oh, okay, you guys gotta lower your tariffs first before we stop shipping this fentanyl. It's like pretty screwed up that's actually now a bargaining chip of, yeah, we're gonna just stop killing your people now. We'll stop now if you do this, if you lower these tariffs. It's like they're a very different culture.
Dude, they're a fucking mess. There's
Yeah.
so many people. Yeah, and like if they like you can't trust President Xi, like when he says, "Oh, I'll look into it." Like they have no way of monitoring that many fucking people. Like there's no way. They're like, "Oh, we'll stop the fentanyl." How? Literally how?
Yeah.
You got so many people that like even if you truly wanted to be committed to something like that, you have no genuine way to commit to that, because you're talking about there's no systems in place that could handle that many freaking people.
Well, the one thing they can do is there are, I think it's like kind of like think of it like the FBI's most wanted, but for fentanyl people, and we know who these people are. These like kingpin fentanyl dealers, and China hasn't taken them out. They should take them out, but have they? No. I mean, that's where maybe America might have to step in, just SEAL Team 6 these guys' asses and go in there and take them out because China's not doing it, and it'd be a service to everyone. So people are not, paying attention enough to the opioid crisis and the subset of that, which is this fentanyl crisis from China. It's pretty screwed up, but you know, it's depressing reality right now with China.
Yeah, I really do hope that they fix some of that stuff going like that. Some sort of resolution happens in Hong Kong. Like, it's
Well,
very sad to
yeah,
give up
sorry.
on it. It's very sad that the British just gave it to China. They should gave it to let it be its own city state, like separate from China, or like gave it to what's that other place, Taiwan, just to
Mm.
piss off the Chinese.
Yeah, they hate the Taiwanese. Uh, the thing I think that's gonna happen here is the protesters are, they're doing some effective things and some ineffective things. One effective thing they're doing is they're keeping the pressure on China. So they're still there. There's thousands, I mean, maybe millions, thousands of them in the streets all the time. So the pressure is still on. That is good because that'll make China have to do something eventually. But their big problem is they're having a few people that are destroying property, uh, clogging up airports, destroying government buildings, and violence. The problem with that is they don't stand a chance against a totalitarian government with a big ass army, okay? That's on their side. They shouldn't be using violence. They should be using peaceful protests. It's the most effective. Morals out of the picture. It's just simply the most effective means they'll have because they don't have guns. They don't have any weapons. They're not going to beat the military. But what they do have is numbers, and they can use that to their advantage by what they're doing right now, which is lots of them in the streets protesting, and they're creating a lot of pressure on the government. So really, all they should just do is keep it on the government, and the government will have to do something. The thing I'm afraid of is that what is going to happen is a massacre. There's going to be a situation where somebody that's been, these more violent parts of the protests are going to do something stupid. The cops going to be pissed off, or the military's going to be pissed off, and they shoot them, kill them, wound them, whatever. And then you have a whole mess now. Tiananmen Square, would be like nothing to this.
Well, yeah, just as a update, apparently It was not the Tiananmen Square. It was the Nanjing anti-African protests. That was what I was thinking of. But it led. It
Okay.
was. It was an event that led to Tiananmen Square. Like so it happened the year previously, and it started the idea that like people can start rebelling. So Tiananmen Square was in part possible due to the Nanjing anti-African protest. That's just crazy that like people kind of cover that one up. I can see why.
Yeah, I
You
didn't
know,
even
they,
know about that. It's interesting.
yeah, they don't teach you about that one. I mean, they don't really teach you too much about Tiananmen Square as it is because Google, in the schools, I don't want to piss off the Chinese, but they really don't teach you about this one because, heaven forbid, Chinese people are called out for their like blatant racism.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I've known some Chinese people, and I can confirm that their culture is definitely way more racist than what anybody has this idea that American culture is racist. It's way more. For American culture is not racist. We're the most accepting culture. We have so many different races, so many different people. We have okay, like look, China, from what a Chinese guy told me, it is looked down upon if you're a Chinese man, a Han, as they would, is the predominant, flavor of
Group.
Chinese. What was that?
So yeah, that's a racial group.
Yeah, that's the main racial group. If a Han boy came home with a white woman, let's say, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's good, I guess." If he came home with another Han, it'd be like, "Oh, perfecto. That's exactly what we want." But if he came home with a Indian woman,
Ooh.
yeah, they don't like that. If he came home with a black, they really don't like that. In America, we have no problem with race mixing for the most part. I mean, you'll get some pockets of people that are kind of like about it, and maybe like some families will be lukewarm with it at first, but then warm up to it. That just doesn't happen in China. That shit doesn't fly unless it's like a white woman. But yeah, there's a big difference. Like we in America will love people of other races. In China, that just isn't accepted. Not at all.
Yeah, for being like quote unquote communists, it's funny. Like, look at the differences between like the communism in China and the university communism of the United States. It's like there's some startling differences here.
Mm, yeah, it is very
Like
different.
like over here, the communists like they believe in all this intersectional stuff, and like China, he'd probably thrown in like
The gulag.
a political prison or something for talking about that. Like really, in any communist country, the people who think they're communists over here, like they have a lot of bullshit ideas, but like they would not go very far in a real communist country.
Mm-hmm.
But then they'd probably say, "Oh, they're not real communists. The real communists are like, I don't know, this like hippy dippy doodah, like everyone's like non-binary, you know, hullabaloo."
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. Like, yeah, the Chinese communists would throw the American communists in a fucking concentration camp. That's how different they are. But
Yeah, they'd
uh,
say they're like the products of like of capitalism. They're like decadence. That's what they would say.
mm,
I've heard that from Chinese people before. That like I knew one Chinese guy who was like he really did not like homosexuals at all.
mm. Well,
Like
that's
he
another
was
thing. Yeah, they don't like gays. I remember when I told one that I was fine with gay marriage, he was shocked. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine with it."
like I had one that would probably he was talking like he thinks they should be put in not so nice places.
Well, they've already put the Muslims in not so nice places.
Yeah, like I don't know. Someone told me that they blocked like that they censored the internet in China to go and like get rid of gay porn.
Oh,
I don't know if
really?
that's true. That could have just been like a rumor.
Well, I know from one friend that they've heavily clamped down on people that speak out against the government right now. Like, if you speak out against the government, it's a big no-no online. Before, like, I guess the implication was that they let slide sometimes, or they weren't punished that harshly. But now it's like no, and that's what typically happens when there's uprisings or protests or revolutions in totalitarian governments or governments with dictators is that now they gotta, well, there's chaos, they need to bring more order, they need to use more power to keep things controlled more, and that's what you're seeing happening in China, which is why I'm afraid something bad's gonna happen. But what I've heard also from my Chinese friends that this protest is part organic and probably part engineered. It could be engineered by different factions of the Communist Party, ones that don't like President Xi and ones that do, or maybe President Xi himself, so that Xi can get more power. Because that's what Xi's been all about: is more power, more power, more power. He's now president for life. He was the one that made that official now, and I think that's what I think. There's all these players are kind of pulling the strings of these protests, but I think Xi is definitely using it to get more power, and that's going to be the end result of this protest. Is going to be he's going to have more power.
Well, I bet there's some CIA operatives in there doing some shenanigans. I don't think that they're the ones necessarily who instigated this, but I think that they're definitely fanning the flames.
Yeah, it could be one of those things that start off completely organic, but like once it, for it to grow, it could have you need some engineering, or once it did grow, then the, the big boys came in and started, engineering it for their own self-interest. But that's the thing with any social movement, it's not as grassroots as you think it is, and probably it's not at all. Like there's somebody going in, an organizer, a Saul Alinsky type, or and it's like the March for Lives thing, where somebody's going in that's starting this stuff, or that's taking advantage of a situation to get something. So everybody wants something, and they use these sort of things to get something. They use these emotions. So that's the real red pill in social movements.
A lot of those astroturfs out there, very few things are truly organic. That's like
Exactly.
it's like a
Yeah.
supermarket. You go to the supermarket, you see organic apple. Like bullshit, that's organic. They like just they'll find just the right way to go and technically be organic, but like they're not actually organic. It's like buying a new car. Like especially these stupid like turbo like four cylinder engines. It's like, oh, you'll get like 40 miles a gallon, but in real life you're getting like 30 at best. It's just like, fuck's going on here, buddy?
Yeah. Well, speaking of these sort of movements, though, the Proud Boys earlier in the week had a bad day. Two of their members who were in a fight in New York City when Gavin McInnes, their former leader-ish, wasn't really even a leader, like I guess kind of was giving a speech at NYU, and Proud Boys were there to protect him because security costs are insane, and nobody's out there trying to protect these people, and the cops probably have orders from up above telling them to stand down, so they would have the Proud Boys there. Now, two of the members were convicted in this fight for attempted assault, something I've never heard of, and attempted gang assault and violence. Now facing up to 15 years in jail. Their sentencing is on October 11th, which is about a month and a few weeks away. So, I mean, maybe I guess they can appeal it, but it's a real bad situation because those New York city judges are corrupt as hell. Because these guys were acting in total self-defense, from what I hear, from what Gavin said, and Gavin did a bunch of stuff to even help these guys. Like he stepped down from the Proud Boys because his lawyers told him that hey, a gang needs two things: a leader and illegal activity. And if you get yourself out of the picture, you can make the argument that it's not a gang anymore because there's no leader. And I think that did help some of the guys, but these guys still facing up to 15 years, which is insane for attempted assault. What does that even mean?
It's
Yeah, no, it's like
New
we threatened
York.
someone.
It's New York. That's
Yeah,
pretty much it.
yeah, it's a shame. Like Antifa never gets caught for any of this shit, but it's always anyone else. They're the ones getting busted.
Well, here's the thing. Number one, the Proud Boys never go to Antifa and start fucking their shit up. Antifa always goes to right wing things, and so the Proud Boys have to come to defend people. When you see Gavin McInnes getting pepper sprayed, when you see Lawrence Southern getting piss thrown at her, when you see Milo getting the mic ripped out of his hands at one of his speeches, when you see Berkeley burned to the ground, you know, you need protection because nobody else is really protecting you. And that's why these people would show up. But And the other thing, number two, is that the Proud Boys would never start fights wherever they'd go. They'd act as bodyguards in self-defense. They had just ended the fights, as we used to say in the schoolyard. You don't start a fight, you end it, and that's how their sort of mentality was. That sort of schoolyard. We defend our guy, and I mean, it's just sort of gotten to this point. It's insane because of New York City.
I mean, in a way, I mean, and I'll probably go against the grain here, but dude, the Proud Boys should have known. They really should have known that this was coming. Honestly, they should have known this was coming. You go to New York City, you like and you go to these protests, and yeah, you're trying to defend people, but you're in liberal territory.
Mm.
You know that the fight ain't fair. You know the judges are corrupt. You know the system is dirty as fuck. It's like, and yet you go there anyway. Like you willfully put it up, which in a way is kind of heroic in a sense, but in a way it's kind of not very smart either, because you know what's going to happen. Like it that whatever happens after that is not going to be good.
Yeah,
So,
I understand. I think what they thought at the time was that it can't be this bad. We might get a slap on the wrist, have to pay a fine, do a little maybe community service at the absolute max. I don't think they thought it would be this bad, and I think that's why they went in uh, to these gigs. I I you know I don't know. I mean, Gavin lives in New York, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But
dude, that whole organization, it's sad, but like they really should know better than to start fights. But on the other hand, when Antifa is openly engaging, someone needs to be, someone should really. It's not really engaging in violence; it's defending yourself. When they'll openly attack you, someone needs to defend themselves.
mm,
You know.
yeah, and that's what the Proud Boys' purpose was. I mean, they started off as just a joke, and then they became a men's
yeah.
club of just people that just wanted to hang out, drink beers, talk about Trump, and maybe shoot some guns at a range or something. But then they became this sort of thing because they felt that service was needed, and they were right in that. But the Antifa has controlled the courts now effectively because Antifa wasn't even. I don't even think they were at the trial in any way, or they weren't even really a factor in it. It was just total one-sided.
Dude, they never get in trouble, and like the
No.
judges, when they do get caught, they let them go. Like, I know you guys, yeah, I know we've talked about that James also before, but
Mm,
like, he was still attacked with a flagpole by an Antifa member, and the judge in D.C. just let the Antifa guy go, didn't even charge him.
jeez. Yeah, I
And
mean,
like it happens all the time, but whenever a right wing organization does the same thing, they get the whole book thrown at them. Look at the Stick Man.
mm-hmm,
Well, he was trying to defend, like he was, yeah, sure, you could say he's engaging in violence, but he was the one who started it. We are a country found on like the idea that self defense is a right.
mm-hmm,
We fought against the British, who were like just walking all over us. But now, when we allow these organizations, Antifa, to instigate and start violence and not have any repercussions, be it legal or just getting their ass without the other side getting like severely hammered by lawsuits. What's going on? The media and the judges are completely cut. Like the judges, like the people who are allowing these people to get away with basically, assaults, like and hitting the other party with assault charges, they need to go. They need to be fired. They need to be stripped, and they should be named. Like someone should go and find all the names of the judges so that next time when they come for re-election, they can say, "Hey, you allowed a terrorist organization to attack American citizens without even charging them." Someone should make like a fucking website that goes and monitors this stuff, so that when re-election comes, we can stop these judges from basically having carte blanche to allow terrorism on Americans.
That probably won't do any good though. Like you're talking about a liberal judge in a liberal area. Like and I mean you're talking about like New York, DC, California. These are liberal havens.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to do anything in liberal aid. Like honestly, separatism it's coming. It's a either we I think that we have to either separate, like, if you want conservative values, you're going to need to get the fuck out of New York, you're going to need to get the fuck out of DC, you're going to need to get the fuck out of California, or, you know, or there's going to be a whole lot more violence.
Well, it'll get the judges' names out there. So let's say that, years from now they want to go and become a Supreme Court judge, or they want to go to a different district. Then, they can be like, hey, this person allowed domestic terrorists to run amok. Let's go and get them. And then there's a social thing too. Name the judges who are not following their own orders. That's another sort of aspect to it. It's not really doxing if that's your job. If you're a public servant and your job is to judge people and you're not judging them according to the rules that are set before you, you should get called out for it. Now, I'm not saying that anyone should do violence, but there should at least be social pressure. Social pressure is a thing, and when you're elected and you agree to uphold the Constitution or whatever state laws you have, and you're not doing it, we're doing it in a biased and frankly, despicable way, then yeah, you should be accountable for that. And right now they're not being held accountable. Like the judge in Penn State, they did the same thing when we had the people tear up the Trump stickers.
Oh, the signs.
Yeah, they let those two girls go.
What was their rationale for that?
They said they heard in the video that someone gave them permission to do it.
What?
Yeah.
I've seen that video many times. I didn't see that.
I know, that's bullshit. Even if they did, if I get like, oh yeah, here you see that Lamborghini over there, yeah, just destroy it. Yeah, you can just go and destroy that Lamborghini. Yeah, no, you'll still be busted if you start breaking the car, even if I tell you to do it.
Yeah.
If it's not your Lamborghini, you can't give people permission. Like, even if you give someone permission, you have to have the common sense to know not to destroy it.
And the person that supposedly said that wasn't the person that owned the signs, correct?
Yeah, I knew the person. It was a certain Russian person.
The Bond villain.
Well, I think it was either him or it was the Republican, the GOP, the local GOP, and neither of those people gave permission. So, that whole thing's a bit screwy.
Mm.
And honestly, someone should go and look into that case. They should go and start questioning people. There should be a retrial.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I know why is the judicial system so liberal? Is it like this everywhere? Because State College, yeah, it's a college campus and all that, but the surrounding area, Center County, is mostly red. Like, why are the courts so stacked like this?
Well, because Penn State's a little bit different. I don't know if it's like that everywhere. It's just because Penn State's like a liberal enclave, and there's so much students and faculty over there where it can influence that area, and that could have just been a particularly liberal judge.
Yeah.
But still, you don't really know.
I know it's frustrating because you see the just abuse of power is insane. And there's a lot of great checks in our system, but man, this needs some fixing. So another thing that's been in the news too, it's actually one of the more amusing things, but also genius in a way, is that Trump wants to buy Greenland. And I think he's pretty fucking serious about this, because there are some insider sources that say, in some news articles I've read, that he's been thinking about this for the past year and a half. And then when the Prime Minister, I think of Denmark, or whoever kind of owns Greenland, was saying some stuff to him, like Greenland isn't for sale, he stopped meeting with them. I think he seriously wants to buy it, and I think it would be smart to make Greenland a U.S. territory. I think it'd just be genius, because every president that has expanded America, that has literally created this nation, is, they are the top 10 most memorable best presidents. The best presidents have been the ones that literally made this country. So he would just be on Mount Rushmore just for this. I think he should fucking do it, and he should pursue it.
Yeah, I think if he can, but I don't think it's gonna be for. I don't think they're gonna sell it to him.
I know, that's the thing. I don't know how practical this is, but damn, I hope it happens.
But I just don't think it will. I think it's like a meme. Like he's probably mulling it over, but like, nah, like it'd be cool if we could, but like, it's not that. I mean, I guess it'd be cool to have a place in Europe that we could have, but or like near Europe. I'm sure we could make use of it, but it's just not going to happen. Like we'd be better off. Like I mean, I'd love to do that, but like
I think
like buying fucking Mexico because we already own like half its citizens are probably living in the United States one way or another.
I think if any president could, it would be Trump.
I don't know if no, I don't. No, they're just not going to.
He's the real estate mogul. He makes
Yeah,
deals.
that's
He
what I'm saying.
buys
Look,
They're
shit.
not going to deal with him because he's Trump, and they don't like Trump.
It'd be the ultimate cuck move. It would, yeah. Look, is it gonna be hard to make a deal with this? Yeah, it's probably gonna be the hardest deal he could ever do. But could it happen? It could. It's not as crazy as you think, and the benefits are, you know, are surprisingly large. Even liberal outlets are admitting, like, yeah, it's actually a good idea.
But it's not going to happen. They're not going to sell it to him. They probably don't want to sell it. Why would they want to sell Greenland? It's Greenland or Iceland or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Not buy both. That would be. But they're not selling it. You can't buy what's not for sale.
That's true, but you can make it for sale then.
Why is he just gonna like buy fucking Zimbabwe?
Well, see, the thing is, like, this is close to America, so like a lot of our territories are that way too. Like, I would trade Puerto Rico for Greenland. Anybody
I would
with me?
trade. Yeah. Like, honestly, I don't think we should have Puerto Rico anymore. Like they suck.
It's a bad investment.
But like the country itself, it's kind of like run terribly, and I think we'd be better off just letting them go independent. Like, because if we let them in, we would have like it would be a win for the Democrats. Now, see, maybe we grant like if we got Greenland, because I think we could probably convince them to be right wing.
Yeah, we could make it happen. Oh, I got a great idea. We should buy Greenland, and then all the Trump supporters should move there, and that becomes our sort of Trump populist nationalist mecca. And we have like an insane number of delegates, so we could like be the new California of elections or the new Texas.
How about this? What if we trade? What if we do a trade? What if we trade California for Greenland?
Oh, yes.
Win situation.
That's a win-win, and we can make it a state, so we don't have to add a star, and it's 51, and it's odd, and you gotta like find a place for that star on the flag. No, it's the same flag.
Yeah, it's 50 states. You just do a complete trade, and then all the Democrats could go and move to California because then they could be in Norway and they can have their European gun control. They can, have their European health system. It'd be perfect. Why isn't Trump thought of it?
Well, I don't even know if it's legal to actually just like take a state out and fucking trade it.
Oh, I'm sure Trump could write an executive order. If he could find some way, I'm sure the Democrats would be like, "Hey, you could have your own." Like they'd all agree for that shit, except for probably the smart ones. Like, "Hey, wait a second, then there's going to be a, we're going to lose a lot of delegates for the Democrats."
Yeah.
Like, honestly, though, I think America is going to be split up in a few years. Like,
nah, it's not going to happen.
20 years. Like, dude, republics only last, like, republics and democracies, they only last on average, like, what, 300 years?
We're past that, aren't we?
Yeah, like, we're getting into that stage where it's like we're already buying votes at this point. Where it's like, you vote, we'll give you bread. Now, it's like, you vote for us, we'll give you, benefit. We'll give you cash money. We'll give you food stamps.
Mm.
Like, you can't compete with that. Once you start doing that, that defeats democracy more than any Russian troll. You know, once
Well,
you
but
start
people have
promising
been buying
people,
votes for years. Like, it's nothing new.
I
And
know, but it's getting worse. And now it's not even just that. They're importing voters.
yes, that's the bigger
See,
issue.
this is where Trump should counter. And since he's already meddling with Russians, he should already be like, "Hey, I'll have all these Russian women blow all of you," and then he gets the male vote and wins hand over fist. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but
Like
the
that's all.
feminists getting over there all pissed off.
Yeah, he's like, "Your green card is very sexy." Yeah. Hey, got to fight fire with fire sometimes. All right, that's all I'm
Well, you
saying.
know, if Trump wants to go and make like voter ID a law, there's easy ways for like to end birthright citizenship. It'd be very easy for him to do that and get the Democrats to like it. All you'd have to go and do is like bring up the fact that like because this actually happens, like Russians will come over here and give birth in like American hotels. There's birth tourism from Russia. This would be like, okay, we need to end birthright citizenship because of this, and you could probably get Democrats to agree with it. It'll be like a fucking Bugs Bunny sketch. It's like, wait a minute, and then they end up losing because it's stupid.
It's like bending the gun back, the barrel back, so it points at them when they fire them. You know, like in those skits.
Yeah, it's true though, because like that happens. You know, he just needs to have like someone market it to the Democrats to make them want this. Like get like a fake person, like pretend they're a Democrat and be like, oh hey, we need to end birthright citizenship because the Russians are influencing our elections. We need to demand voter ID to keep Putin out of the poll office and like get that to become a meme.
Yes. No, remember the memes of they spread this on 4chan and Reddit where it was like stop Russian meddling, demand voter ID. We need to do more of that because that holds them to their standards and that fucks with them and it has ridicule. It's genius. I don't know why this wasn't pushed hard enough.
Because I guess algorithms are. We need to do real life advertising. Like we need to go and like rent. We need to get like a GoFundMe to go and like get a billboard
Mm-hmm.
and just have it say, "Get Putin out of the polls, demand voter ID." Like, I don't know how much that would be. Like, was like $250 a month for some of these people.
Yeah, I think I know people that actually were doing that. I think I know people that were doing that. It was
We need to start like a GoFundMe for this.
yes. Yeah, but then we're gonna get banned from GoFundMe.
Well, then we need to just go and like get someone. Like we need to go and talk to like a fucking GOP representative and be like, yeah, this would be like legit. We would get, and then like capitalize on the clicks.
See,
And,
why
like, take a
isn't the
picture of it.
No, you have to sell it like it's something else, and then use that money to fund. Like you don't.
Get someone to take a picture of it and put on Instagram. Then you can go and get money from that. You know, and then you would get money. You get free advertisement because like
you
Buzz
sell it. You sell it like we're buying lollipops for sick kids, and then you use that money to fucking to buy ads, to buy these bullshit ads for fucking yeah.
Well, dude, the Democrats throw these ads up all the time. Like I'll see ones that was like ban assault weapons. Now I'm just like, no one's gonna care about this. You're in the middle of like Pennsylvania. They're not gonna do that.
No,
and then like they'll have ones with like GOP and there's a picture of like the Russian flag.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why aren't we doing shit like this, but with other things?
See, this is what the Koch brothers, speaking of them, should have been doing. They should have gotten a lot of money into advanced troll operations because it's the trolls now that win. It's the trolls who are doing the clever, fun stuff that spreads like wildfire.
I don't think the Kochs wanted Trump to win.
I know that's the problem. We need.
They don't understand how the meme marketplace works.
Yeah, and look, memes are a limited medium. Like they're not gonna like sway elections, but they energize your base, and they.
You won Trump. If it was not for the meme game, there's no way in hell Trump would have won.
Well, and that's why we need some people, which I hope will come out of our generation or maybe millennials. But we need a Koch brother that is not the Koch brothers, We need somebody kind of like a Trump that has a lot of money that can just say, fuck it, we're going to do what really needs to be done. And
there's a whole lot. He's gotten a whole lot of.
He has.
he has gotten a whole lot of billionaire donors.
Yeah.
You're talking about Stephen Ross, the owner for the Dolphins. You're talking about Woody Johnson, the owner for the Giants. Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
The dude, one of the co-founders of Home Depot. Mike Liddell, the My Pillow dude.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, you've got
he's
a lot.
interesting.
Yeah, you've
He
got a lot of big money players.
First of all, Mike Lindell, if anybody doesn't know, his saying is from crackhead to CEO. Yeah, he used to be a literal crackhead, but he is a smart guy, great marketing. His ads are fantastic. He gets the persuasion game, he gets the marketing game so good. I think he's going to be a future politician for Republicans. I think he's going to run somewhere, and you're going to see him
I
win.
I would love for him to run against Omar
He,
because
he has a
he's from
chance.
Minnesota, right?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Right, go after him. Go after Omar. Go right out. That would be the perfect candidate to do it.
Yep. Yep.
Perfect candidate to do it.
Yeah, and I think she's going to be one of the squad that's going to go down. AOC
Yeah.
is smart. She's going to distance herself from them because they're pulling her down. You know, it's a sinking ship, and the captain wants to leave, but they're like pulling her. They're like, no, stay on the sinking
Yep.
ship. She knows what to do, but she's got to be smart where she gets out in the right way, where they don't start really pulling her down, bringing dirt out or doing some real nasty things to her. But of course, she might be behind the scenes plotting their primary campaigns where they get primaries. That's what's going to happen to them. But it'll be interesting to follow. I always like a little bit of infighting, even if I hate it when it's on our side. It's tells you some stuff.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Fucking infighting's the name of the game in the current day.
One thing I want to say before we close out soon is I want to give people a quick review of some summer reading I've done because I've read 3 very important books that everybody needs to read right now. If you want to be effective in politics, if you want to win in politics, if you want to win in elections, if you want to win in campaigning, if you want to win in leadership, if you want to win in life, even, you need to read these 3 books because they will totally change your worldview and teach you how to play the real game. Number 1, this was the first book I read over the summer, was Trump's Are the Deal. Classic book, great book. It's more of an autobiography of Trump's life, but it puts you in the mind of Trump. It's a very easy read. It's also got a lot of tips and tricks in it on how to make deals. It's a great book. Definitely recommend. If you don't understand Trump, read this now. You'll get Trump. Number 2, Machiavelli's The Prince. Ultra classic, written by Machiavelli, one of the most misunderstood men to ever live. Yes, he is considered to be this like sort of evil guy, but he lays down the principle. Look, if you want to be an effective prince, if you want to rule well, this is what you have to do. He's not saying it's moral or it's what you technically should do. He's just saying it's what you gotta do, and it's a great read. Very smart, insightful stuff. And finally, number 3, I have actually 6 pages left, so I technically haven't finished it yet, but I'm going to finish after this show. Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. It's the playbook of the left, but it is for a reason. It's smart, effective, and a lot of juicy info and a lot of juicy tactics. You have to read this. You can't read the TLDR or the Cliff Notes. It's a must read. It's a smart book. Liberty Institute, or I always screw that up, Leadership Institute was giving this book out for free at some of their events, and those people know how to win. The right can use these rules against the left, and they can use it to help them win. It's a total, just, an activist Bible. It's fantastic. It's smart. It's practical, and Solinsky he got it. He gets the game. I recommend all those books in addition to ones I read previously. Scott Adams' books of how to win almost anything, so win big and win bigly. Those 5 books right there will just change everything. They'll blow your mind. Definitely recommend. Love them all.
Yeah, they seem like good books. I've read what was the one by Saul Alinsky and the
Rules for
Machiavelli.
Radicals.
Yeah, I got those 2 from I think I had to buy The Prince myself, but I got Rules for Radicals from Leadership Institute. No, that's a pretty good one.
Yes, it's a superb book. Of all the three, it's the one that surprised me the most. I'd say The Prince was kind of what I expected. It was really good. It was a great book, amazing work. Art of Deal, well, it subverted my expectation of the fact that I didn't expect it to be so heavily autobiography, but it was still a superb read. But Rules for Radicals really surprised me because it's just so much stuff. I knew of the rules, but there's way more than just that. And it's just very, very interesting.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I think like if you just had to read one of those, I probably would pick Rules for Radicals. That's probably the most immediately useful
Yeah,
because like Machiavelli was written for princes. Art of the Deal was just an autobiography on Trump,
it
but
still
Rules
has
for Radicals.
business tactics in it.
Yeah, but this is like direct political tactics and
Yes,
examples. Like this is the most immediately useful. You don't have to do any sort of extrapolations for the most part.
yes, I agree. If you wanna, I'll put it this way: if you wanna win in business, read Art of the Deal. If you wanna win in, more ruthless dictatorship or even a little bit of politics, read The Prince. If you wanna win in politics, just any politics, Rules for Radicals number one. If you wanna learn how to do persuasion, if you wanna learn how to communicate, Win Bigly by Scott Adams. That's my recommendations. If you want to be an entrepreneur and win in entrepreneurship, How to Fail at Almost Everything, Still Win Big is another Scott Adams one. Recommend for that. But these are all smart books, and man, I'm a different person after reading them. I'm genuinely impressed.
Yeah, man. But yeah,
Is that
yeah.
where we want to end?
No, no. There's a couple things I want to talk about.
There's
Oh
more.
shit! Here we
I
go.
Shit.
want to talk about some shit that's going on in South Africa.
All right,
All
lay us
right.
down on that.
So we've had some interesting events come out this week. So first off, like they decided to go and basically ban the Republic of South Africa flag in South Africa. And this flag, people think of it as the what you call it flag, the apartheid flag, but that's actually that would be like saying that the Betsy Ross flag was the flag of slavery. While yeah, sure, there was slavery in place at that time, it was more than just that because this flag, in particular, the orange and white and other colorless things like blue or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
That flag it existed prior to apartheid being in place, and now they're suing. Was it the ANC is suing AfriForum for a flagrant display of the South African flag?
Flagrant display.
Yeah, like so it's crazy. It's what's going to happen the next few years. We'll see this shit in America. Like I think what happens in like these countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, shit like that. You're going to see that in America in the next like 20 to 40 years. You'll see that with like the Confederate flag and with the Betsy Ross flag eventually. I believe. And that's
Mhm.
just kind of crazy like just throwing someone in jail for waving a flag and like Germany's had this for a while and most of Europe has had that for a while but like you can't even really compare that to like Nazi Germany. Like, especially if you're from that particular country and this was basically all your history prior to that point. This is a big deal. Another South African tidbit. There was a riot that took place or protests at a school, and it was, I think, in the Natal province, and they demanded smoke breaks for students in high school. Yeah, it's pretty. That country's kind of gone to shit. But other than that, the only other kind of news that I had was there was some dude like kind of on the red flag gun law. There was some guy in the United States. Let me go and see if I can find his it was Florida man, of course.
Of course,
So
the
this
meme.
time, this Florida man did nothing wrong. He lost his Second Amendment rights thanks to red flag laws and mistaken identity. It was from a town hall. And there's some dude who ended up getting basically his Second Amendment taken away with no recourse. Like he has to go, it was taken away immediately, and now he has to go through the process of going to court, paying for a lawyer, to get his Second Amendment back because of someone who did something with a name that was the same as him.
Oh
Like
my
this is my
god.
this is one of my biggest problems with the red flag gun laws. Like there's no due process involved with them. And this sort of thing can happen all the time. Like this already happens, and sometimes when you have the background checks, like I've heard stories where people, they were trying to do a background check and someone with the same name as them popped up, but thankfully that's able to be cleared up pretty quickly, but it's still an inconvenience. But when someone takes your guns, like let's say this guy was a security guard, he could be out of the job potentially. If he's like a professional like gator hunter or something. Like, this is Florida. This shit happens. They ever see that show on the History Channel where they go and shoot gators and shit?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, the gator people, the swamp people are the fun.
Swamp wars.
Yeah, but like, that could be your livelihood. That fence taken away and there's no recourse. That's my problem with red flag law. Like people, and then there was a guy in Maryland who got killed because some guy came in the middle of the night knocking on his door, busting in to go and take his guns. And it was a red flag thing. And it was sad. The people and the cops who shot him, they should be tarred and feathered. If this was back in the 1700s, they would get tarred and feathered. We would not tolerate that. But now it's okay to go and take away rights, because it's the 21st century and have no due process. That's my problem. Like even Trump, like I'm upset with Trump over that. Like you can't have due process. Like you can't have like expedient due process with this shit because things like this happen. Like people get their lives thrown upside down because of an accusation. Like Trump should know all about this. Like the Republicans, like look at Kavanaugh. His ass he must like lost everything because of accusations and no due process.
Yeah, I mean, Trump hasn't done anything yet, so I'm not particularly worried, but it's been a state by state thing, and the way, we get now these cases so we can say, hey, it doesn't work. I mean, I know some particular people that have said some fighting words against me that, there are some red flag laws in place. Man, they would lose their guns real quick. You know what I mean? But
see, I know this individual. I think he's stupid. I think that he's a narcissist, but I don't think he's a threat. Like,
yes, but Alex, it's a red flag. Hey, he's got guns. He's saying this stuff. Even when you don't think it's a threat, that's where like the Florida man case comes in. It's like innocent people get hurt from it.
Like we're entering into this Minority Report sort of world at this point.
Actually, I was just watching that.
And the people who can like say that you like give you a red flag, it's so bizarre. And like all this will do is like basically not want to talk to anybody, not want to go and seek. Like that's already what it does. Like in PA, if you go to a mental institution, like if you go and commit yourself because you're feeling bad, you might lose your gun rights for the rest of your life. That makes people who need mental health not want to seek help. That does the exact opposite. So the people who need the help will refuse to get it because they don't want their rights taken away. We need to have a solution that like enables you to get your rights. Because right now, once it gets taken away, it's very difficult and very expensive to get it back.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more real news.